Rachel claims to have a vague but terrifying recollection of what happened during the night.
I could feel someone on me. I knew he was trying to have intercourse with me, and then I said stop, and I said no, and I couldn't move my body.
Were you horrified?
I was panicking. I was so scared.
But all of the women report the same thing, that Marsalis was a complete gentleman come morning.
He was trying to be, really nice and like caring, and I'm really into you.
What happened next would prove critical. All the women told us while they thought that something bad might have happened here at Jeffrey Marsalis' apartment, perhaps even criminal, they also told us he did a very good job convincing them that everything was all right. And they said they wanted to convince themselves. After all, they thought they'd found a catch. So none of them went to police, and some of them dated Dr. Jeff again.
You had sex with him?
Yes.
How long did this last, this relationship?
Probably about 2 months.
We talk on the phone every once in a while, maybe get together once every 3-4 months.
So why?
I thought, I don't want to be traumatized by this. So I kind of tried to smooth things over. Well, and thinking, oh, he's a doctor, like trying to rationalize it.
It would go on like this for years.
He would have never stopped. He would have continued to do what he was doing.
Lieutenant Thomas McDevitt runs the Philadelphia Special Victims Unit.
I've seen so many different crimes that, sometimes it's very hard to sleep at night.
Detectives remember when this case all began, when another of Jeff Marsalis' ex-girlfriends came into this police interrogation room. She was there to report being date raped.
We started an investigation thinking that, he had somehow drugged her and sexually assaulted her.
Police then searched Marsalis' apartment, and what they found, they said, shed a whole new light on the real identity of Dr. Jeff and his elaborate world of lies.
This here says he was a medical student at Drexel.
Yeah, he never was a medical student. He did apply.
It turned out that Dr. Jeff was no doctor, instead a nursing school dropout.
He never worked at that hospital.
Never worked there, but he would go in there with the outfit on and sometimes wave to the security and walk people in.
Police found the gun, the bulletproof vest, the fake top-secret documents that they say Marsalis had used to buttress his CIA story with Jessica Ravel.
I mean, here you got him with a flight jacket, and even here he had it classified for your eyes only, like a proposal for terrorism.
Total fake.
Total fake.
And of course, there was the NASA photograph.
But we found out that these are pictures you take when you go down for your souvenirs at NASA.
But authorities say the evidence that would break this case wide open was found right on Marsalis' own computer.
Mr. Marsalis had kept a list of names on his computer.
And what did he call it?
The Yearly Calendar of Woman.
And what did it detail?
Under each year was a list of female first names. Each represented individual women that Mr. Marsalis had had sexual contact with.
Police would eventually contact almost everyone on that yearly calendar of woman. Several said nothing had happened, but many others said the muddy memories they had about Dr. Jeff started coming into focus.
Things started to add up about that first night with him that made no sense.
The pieces fit.
So there's no question in your mind that there's truth to this?
There's absolutely no question in my mind. He is the worst rapist that we've had in the city of Philadelphia, number-wise.
After Jessica Ravel spoke with detectives, she believed she'd been raped by Marsalis and was overcome with guilt.
If I had just gone to the police sooner, maybe I could have saved this from having happened to even one of them. And I'm so sorry.
It was not your fault.
No, it's not your fault.
It was his fault.
And I know that, but it doesn't help me sleep at night to know that.
But many of these women said they did sleep better when they learned that Marsalis had been arrested and charged with rape.
He was quiet, seemed shocked that he was being arrested, and he never gave us any problem.
But Marsalis wasn't locked up for long, and in a move that would later prove critical in this case, Marsalis posted bail and went to Sun Valley, Idaho. Meanwhile, back in Philadelphia, prosecutor Joe Kahn was building his case.
One of the things that we relied on was the overwhelming similarities, that victims who did not know each other all relayed very, very similar experiences.
But as the trial moved forward, inside that courtroom, the women said it became clear that Dr. Jeff was still operating.
And he had this smile on his face, this horribly smug smile on his face. And I immediately got up and ran as fast as I could to the ladies' room and lost it.
When we come back, what he was smiling about. And later, Dr. Jeff himself, breaking his silence to us.
This is 9 generations of the world's most revered luxury sedan. This is a history of over 50,000 crash-tested cars. This is the world record for longevity and endurance, and one of the most technologically advanced automobiles on the planet. This is the 9th generation E-Class. This is Mercedes-Benz.
It's a sizzling tale of savings on the hottest fashions at Kohl's Summer's Hottest Sale. Starting this Wednesday at 8 a.m., everyone will be getting 50 to 60% off all family swimwear, 40 to 60% off tees, tanks, and shorts, hot prices on sandals, all sunglasses, and all beach towels. Snap up smoking hot summer fashions at the hottest sale of the season. Kohl's Summer's Hottest Sale starts Wednesday at 8 a.m. Kohl's, expect great things.
Mom was diagnosed with moderate Alzheimer's. It was tough news to hear. Everything changed. I didn't know what to do. Right about then, our doctor mentioned the Exelon patch. He said it releases medicine continuously for 24 hours. He said it could help with her cognition, which includes things like memory, reasoning, communicating, and understanding.
The most common side effects of Exelon patch are nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. The likelihood and severity of these side effects may increase as the dose increases. Patients may experience loss of appetite or weight. Patients who weigh less than 110 pounds may experience more side effects. People at risk for stomach ulcers or who take certain other medicine should talk to their doctor because serious stomach problems such as bleeding may worsen.
Mom's diagnosis was hard to hear, but there's something I can do.
Ask your doctor about the Exelon patch. Visit exelonpatch.com to learn more.
93% of those who tried Activia would recommend it.
Julia Tolbert, tell me your story.
Well, my irregularity was only occasional, and I honestly thought it was just a part of life.
What made you first try Activia?
I saw this ad, and I said, okay, I love yogurt, and hey, it worked.
Activia is clinically proven to help regulate your digestive system in 2 weeks when eaten every day.
Activia!
And now, try a delicious blend of cereal, fiber, and Activia yogurt. New Activia Fiber.
So you're saying these 10 candies represent our friends and family, the 10 people we can call, whatever network they're on, without using our minutes.
That's included, no extra cost.
Oh.
So then, excuse me, Sammy. This would be like the 80 million people on Verizon Wireless we can call too. Yep, also included. Don't eat it, Marcia!
Save minutes and money with Verizon Wireless. Unlimited calling to 10 out-of-network numbers, even landlines. Plus, get America's largest mobile-to-mobile calling family. And now buy an LG Glance for $49.99 and get up to 4 phones free.
Tomorrow, breaking new details on that shocking moment that forever changed Michael Jackson's life. The horrible accident, his hair catching on fire, that led to his toxic addiction to painkillers. New details, new information on Good Morning America.
He's right! It's the original emotional roller coaster.
You're gonna make me cry.
The Primetime phenomenon returns with all new shows. 11 thrilling nights. One superstar host. Too many ups and downs to count.
He just won $1 million!
Regis Philbin hosts Millionaire for an 11-night primetime event starting Sunday, August 9th on ABC.
A fine cigar, a quality bourbon, the music of Charles Mingus. These are some of defense attorney Kevin Hextall's favorite things.
You feel like you're just blowing out the stresses from that day.
But when Hextall heard the multiple rape accusations against his client, Jeffrey Marsalis, it was hardly easy listening.
These were adult women who were articulate, who were polished, and they swore under oath, "This is what your client did to me."
To make matters worse, he knew his own client's credibility was seriously in question.
And he's claiming to be the head trauma surgeon at an area hospital. He's claiming to be an astronaut. He's confiding in somebody that he just met that he's involved in the CIA.
But prosecutor Joe Kahn had problems of his own. No physical evidence.
Or other evidence that would corroborate victim testimony about their assaults.
So the case against Jeffrey Marsalis would hinge on the credibility of his accusers. Another 3 women from Marsalis's calendar of women pressed charges. As the defense attorney reviewed their sworn statements, he began to see reason for hope.
The bottom line is that the stories don't make sense. They don't hold water.
There was the first accuser.
Her statement to the police was that she didn't have any contact with Jeffrey after the night that she claimed that she was raped.
But her phone records told a different story.
After the 3rd date, she called Jeffrey 24 times. They had conversations that lasted up to 40 minutes.
How do you explain the discrepancy then?
It's a lie.
The 2 other accusers were also problematic.
One of the girls, after she was raped, she helped him get an apartment in her building where she's an apartment manager. And the 3rd girl claimed that after she was raped, she continued to have a consensual sexual relationship with him on a regular basis.
It was a fundamental question that wouldn't go away.
Why would these women continue not only to date him, but to have sex with him?
There are lots of reasons. One of them is an attempt to control the situation.
Sex crime experts Jennifer Long and Dr. Barbara Ziv say it's common for victims to deny a date rape ever occurred. They also say many victims do go back and date the men again, as they try to convince themselves it never happened.
It's much easier to believe that I made an error in judgment if I'm a woman, or I had a misperception of something that happened, than to believe that the world is as unsafe a place as it is.
Dr. Ziv says that denial is much easier when the alleged attacker looks respectable and behaves like a gentleman afterward, even sending gifts.
Jeff Marsalis gave me this draft, but I kept it. For some reason, couldn't get rid of it.
The devil doesn't look like the devil all the time. He can look like a normal human being.
But the jury never heard anything about what rape victims often do to convince themselves that it never happened. Because Pennsylvania law specifically prohibits that kind of expert testimony on the psychology, why women would go back. And because of that rule, victims advocates say prosecutors here in the state often end up trying rape cases with one hand tied behind their back.
If an expert had been able to take the stand and look straight into these jurors' faces and say, it is common for a woman to go back.
It would have made it fair. It would have given the jury the proper context to then judge the victims.
Without that expert testimony, the prosecution's case collapsed. Jeffrey Marsalis was acquitted on all counts of rape.
And he had this smile on his face, this horribly smug smile on his face when they announced the acquittal.
But authorities had a surprise in store for Marsalis. Since his initial arrest, investigators had found several more women ready to press charges against Dr. Jeff, ultimately including Donna, Rachel, and Natalie. Just as Marsalis was preparing to walk out of court a free man, he was arrested again.
It's not a prosecution, that's a persecution.
For that second trial, a second attorney would join the team, defense attorney Kathleen Martin.
They had Jeffrey, and they thought he was a criminal, so they go and try to find victims to make him that criminal. That's not the way it should go down.
This time, the prosecution was more careful about which women they put on the stand. The case would be limited to 7 women who swore they did not have consensual sex with Marsalis after the alleged rape. And there was something else.
We also had more evidence about Mr. Marsalis' scheme.
Lab results came back on a substance found in a syringe in Marsalis' old EMT equipment. It was identified as liquid Benadryl, and authorities wondered, could that have been the date rape drug?
Benadryl will knock you out and make you unconscious.
Liquid Benadryl was odorless, it was colorless. It was precisely the sort of thing that someone could put in a person's drink.
But if Marsalis had truly drugged 7 separate women, why was there no one who saw them slur their words or stumble as they walked?
Somebody would have had an effect from these alleged drugs that he's putting in.
That somebody would have seen.
Exactly.
Some unbiased bystander, good Samaritan would have seen this.
The defense also asked if these women were so convinced that they could never have blacked out from just a few drinks, why weren't they more alarmed the next morning?
Not one of these women went to the emergency room and said, "Take my blood, I think I've been drugged." None of them did that.
And perhaps most damaging, even though these women say they didn't continue to have sex with him after the alleged rape, they did stay in touch with him.
We have a total of 7 women, all of which had contact with him afterwards, from weekends to movies to lunches to dinners to dates to gifts.
So you think none of them ever thought they were